Right Away with Craig Murray. For more information, visit cmurray.com. The Power of Evil. Okay, don't get me wrong. I'm not some fan of evil or evil people or evil things or evil demonically possessed attack kittens. Okay, the latter would be interesting at least. But I am a fan of writers learning how to write bad characters, or bad situations, or bad things happening to good people, or bad things happening to bad people. It really doesn't matter, but you need to do it. Oh no, you cry. But Craig, I don't want to write bad things. I only want to write about kittens and puppies and homemade meals and unicorns that fart rainbows. I don't want to write about anything bad. You're a bad man for even suggesting it. Okay, I may be a bad man, but it's not for suggesting that you write bad things. There are a lot of people who have an aversion or absolute hatred of writing bad characters doing bad things or bad things happening to people. They don't like it. They don't want to write it. And there's a few things wrong with this. The first and most overwhelming problem is you're writing with your ego. Ego, ego, ego. Ego is the killer of all good writing. No, you say. I'm not writing with my ego. Yeah, you are. When you're only writing the things and people that please you, you're not writing for the sake of the story. When you only have scenarios and situations that make you happy, you're doing that for your own sake and not for the sake of your characters. This is ego writing. The story isn't important to you. The characters aren't important to you. Your feelings are important to you. That's terrible. I can't stress enough the need to get yourself out of your own writing. Every single story or short story or paragraph or chapter should not be screaming, "This is little more than an autobiography, real or imagined, about me." How do you expect to write realistic characters doing realistic things if it's only ever about stuff that makes you happy? What makes you happy might not make anyone else happy. So then you have to decide who you're writing for. Are you writing for your own self-satisfaction and ego, or are you writing for the reader? So, as always, let's do some story time where everything is wonderful. Mary Sue Josephine Renoir was walking gently across the perfectly manicured lawns of her family's estate. A gentle breeze played with her long, luxurious chestnut hair, and the sun sparkled in her long, luxurious chestnut eyes. In the distance, but not particularly far away, she saw the most beautiful man she'd ever seen in her life. He was tall, maybe 6'2". He had long, beautiful blonde hair, but not like weirdo long, just like a really good length. He wore an Edwardian gentleman's outfit, but curiously, his white silk shirt was unbuttoned almost all the way down to his belt. She could see his muscular chest and well-toned abs peeking out with every step. He was well-muscled, but not in an icky way, all veiny and gross, more like just in a really hot way. He was walking a beautiful black stallion that was almost as pretty as he was. Beside him walked a beautiful golden retriever that looked up at him in adoration. In one hand, he carried a basket of kittens. In the other hand, a picnic basket filled with what could only be the most delicious food and drink she would ever taste in her life. In his other hand, he gently held the reins of his horse, and he made pleasant and gentle sounds to all of his animals. "Good morning," he said, and gave a bit of a bow. "My family has just returned from our overseas properties to our castle that sits on yonder hill. I know we've never met, but I have to tell you you're the most beautiful and perfect woman I've ever met in my life. I think I've fallen madly in love with you. My name is Lord Chester Fields. I'm astonishingly rich, and my family is one of the greatest in the entire world. Would you sit and have a delicious picnic with me that I just happen to be carrying, and then when we finish the strawberries," giggling, "perhaps you would let me ask your father for your hand in marriage?" "This is all so sudden," she said, "but sounds about right. Let us eat this perfect meal, while your puppy lies beside us and your kittens playfully play with your ribbons, and then, hand in hand, we'll skip down to my family's house." "Do you think your father will accept me?" he asked. "I'm sure he'll act rather gruffly at first. My mother will dance around and shake her handkerchief and be vaguely annoying, But within minutes he'll be clasping you by the shoulder and calling you son while my mother weeps tears of joy. I'm sure we will live happily ever after, he said, and we'll be the envy of the entire kingdom. Wow, wasn't that a fantastic story? Just surprise after surprise. It went from good things to better things to great things. Just like real life. Shoot me now. I've talked before about the absolute necessity of these three parts of the story: the introduction, the conflict, and the all-important resolution. We need the conflict. If not, we're just writing these cheesy and unrealistic scenes of happiness. It might make you feel good, but it don't make you right good. Now, I personally find evil to be a bit banal and one-dimensional. It's the power of the idiot throwing a brick through a window. The biggest moron you'll ever meet can be destructive. It takes intelligence and drive to be creative, to create, to grow, to do great things. There have been countless evil people who've done their worst, and history's completely forgotten them. But our stories rely on contrast to make them interesting. The good people are good in the face of difficulty. They accomplish their great deeds, their wonderful acts of heroics faced off against a foe. Their bravery, their resolution, all their best characteristics are in contrast to the efforts of the bad characters, the bad situations. It's true to say I think we've all experienced it, the bellwether friend. They're great to have around as long as things are going well. But when the going gets tough, they're the first to get going in the opposite direction. We all know at least one person who's like this, and sadly, sometimes if you don't know that person might be you. I've met a ton of people who are 100% reliable when things are going good and going their way. They're also the first to fall apart when anything wrong happens. So we're measured, and we can measure others by how they react to hardship. So you have to place your characters in hardship so you can see their true character. Romeo and Juliet. Oh, a timeless romance story. Except, of course, 6 people die and 2 by suicide. Or maybe Hamlet. Fantastic story if you can step over the 9 dead bodies by the end of it. Shakespeare knew this. He knew what people wanted to see, what they wanted to read and hear, and he gave it to them. This popular writing style is a reason that Shakespeare's remained popular for so many centuries. Do you think Romeo and Juliet would have stayed with the same power if these 2 kids had just shown their respective families the errors of their ways and everyone lived happily ever after? Can you imagine the 50-minute-long play of Hamlet? He goes down after seeing the ghost of his father. He accuses the king of killing his own brother. His uncle confesses. He's taken away and executed. Hamlet becomes king and marries Ophelia, and everyone lives happily ever after. No, we need the evil. We need Rosencrantz and Guildenstern to betray Hamlet and in the end, come to their own horrific death. We need the king to be proven to be as evil as we know he is and come to his ignoble end. This is the power of bad characters doing bad things. They are the foil that acts against our hero or heroine. They make our main character stronger and smarter and more resilient so they can win in the end. The real power of evil in our writing is to show how good our characters are. Now go write something. Write something evil.